Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner MetaZone, Rovi, and mscribe, and we got a BMT update.
BMT, not DMT.
Correct.
B as in Bob.
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 Or Bitmap.
Or whatever else. BMT. So what is BMT, dude? Why did we decide to do a whole video on this?
Well, because
Explain.
There was a misunderstanding on how you can claim a BMT token.
It's
which
true.
You can claim right now. It exists. It's fully within the spec. It is not cursed. It works. You can do it right now. I don't know how many times do I need to repeat that. Should I say it again?
What, that you could do it right now?
That you can do it right now, yeah.
No, I think I said it for you again. So you could do it right now. Said it a third time.
Yeah. All right, so what is BMT and how does this work?
Yeah,
so,
and this is shout out to whoever kind of asked for this during a recent Twitter space that we did.
Yeah.
Forget your name, unfortunately, but yeah, there's somebody politely asked, there's I'm translating everything you guys are coming up with to my community, which I think is in India or something like that, and he's trying to relay all these useful bits of information to that community.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to you for requesting this because we want to clear up as much confusion as possible. So anybody after watching this, you're still confused, let us know. Yeah. And we can go deeper.
Yeah, and the whole premise, BMT is a showcase, another demonstration token.
Okay.
Right? Just like NAT, BMT points to the same exact element. If you don't know what I'm talking about, definitely check out our DMT launch, Digital Matter Theory launch video, which explains what elements are. And we're going to make another video talking about elements.
Okay.
But all you need to know is that these two tokens, NAT and BMT, both point to the same element. The element is called DMT.11.element. So this says that you can claim these tokens specifically for BMT if you own a bitmap.
Okay.
Okay. So only bitmap holders can claim these tokens, and there's no way to cryptographically hack it. No way to do it. Right? You have to have a bitmap.
Interesting.
Okay. And you can claim this token today, or you can claim it 1,000 years from now. It will always be there. Okay. So what do we talk? Well, how do you do that? Right? Parent-child inscriptions. That's how you do it. So parent-child inscription says that if you hold a parent, you can create children off of it. And so the framework here allows you to generate a JSON structure, which looks like this, right? Tap, DMT mint. This deploy inscription, which is an inscription ID, points back to the deploy of this BMT token.
Okay.
Right? So it's just for reference. And then the ticker is BMT, right? Very simple. Literally copy and paste this, and you can create a child inscription from your bitmap that the child is this inscription, this JSON structure. And so what the indexers will do is say, hey, I see that there's provenance with this inscription. It came from a bitmap. This bitmap is number, I have an example here. Hold on. Okay, so in this example, I did this inscription, right? I have bitmap number 745-673. It's like you scroll down, this is ord.io. It's like, hey, wait a minute, there's child inscriptions here, right? So let me click on this and let me see what happens, right? So you click on it. Oh, look at that. Tap, DMT mint, the BMT token.
Okay.
Right? And so what's the big deal here? It's like, first, you can only inscribe a child if you hold the parent, right? If your parent's bitmap, the child is the mint inscription of a BMT token. And so now this let me go back here. This parent, this bitmap, 745-673, and I don't know why I have to keep doing this. If you go to blockchain.com, let me copy this. Let's go to blockchain.com, and I'm going to show you guys how I did this. Right, and we go to Bitcoin, and we go click on a random block. And this random block will spawn. I'm going to replace the block number with my bitmap. All right, give it a second. This will update.
Pulling lots of information here. There it is.
Right. So I own this bitmap, right? This is mine, right? I just inscribed the BMT token. So what does that mean? Ultimately, I just inscribed 386 million BMT tokens.
I see.
right? And so now any bitmap holder can do this exact same process and inscribe a BMT token that you can use within the ecosystem, right? This wasn't an airdrop. This is called a block drop.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Anybody can create block drop tokens, point it to Bitmap project, and your block drop token can be inscribed by any bitmap holder and participate in the ecosystem that you're creating.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, this is like we outlined this as like the third method, I guess, under the use cases section in our documentation release. So this is obviously the most obvious provenance candidate to kind of demonstrate this is bitmaps, right? Because this is an ordinal collection that's already been distributed in the past.
Yeah,
we already have 26,000 holders. These non-arbitrary tokens that are being identified through the element registration process, the pattern that the deploy inscription is pointing to, you know, they already basically exist within, like, you know, those blocks that people have claimed, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a way to basically extract that through this specific syntax, right? So this can be, is this the third one? Yeah, the third one. The second one is where potentially you don't want to actually inscribe it yourself, these tokens, for whatever reason. There has to be a way for you kind of like allow somebody who does not own the bitmap that you do also get authorized to inscribe these tokens, right?
Yeah, and you could do all kinds of things with method 2. You could create a game logic where it says if you reach a certain level, you get access to this token, right? If you know, any kind of logic that you can think of, anything that we've experienced in Web 2 games.
Could you do like maybe like I don't know, like a user reward for people who, you know, visit your bitmap? It's like, yo, you're the highest most frequented visitor on my bitmap this month, or something like that. Yeah. Therefore, now you get the authorization to inscribe these BMT tokens or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that. So how do you actually implement that logic like that? So that sounds very complicated.
Well, so first, the way you do that is that you have to create a token authorization. This is a TAP protocol creation, right? So you create this token authorization. You send it to a platform that supports this logic. It could be your own. It could be mscribe. It could be bitmap.land. Doesn't matter. Okay. Whichever platform supports whatever logic you're trying to do, send it to them. And then when you're interacting with that website there and you're achieving that achievement, right? You complete that logic. Then on that website, you can say mint token. It's like you've earned these tokens. You can just go and mint it, right? And so what's happening is that token authorization is creating children off of that authorization.
I see.
And so it's a tree, right? You have your bitmap, you have the token authorization as a child, and then that is creating children off of this logic. And all this is on chain, right? It doesn't matter which indexer is looking at this stuff; they will see the exact same thing.
And the reason why to do this all on chain is for what exactly? This is to establish that chain of, I guess, provenance or history, whatever you want to call it. Well, yeah. Just so it's all like immutably stored and it can be called at any time and then applied in the future for whatever purpose, right?
Yeah, because now that I've extracted BMT from my bitmap, it cannot be extracted again.
Correct.
Right? The indexer, if you try to extract more BMT, it just won't recognize. It's like minting the same inscription multiple times. It's just the multiple times you just get ignored.
So the same thing applies to parcelization as well, right? Like these are the critical like infrastructure components that are like in development that aren't officially like part of the ecosystem yet, but obviously are very direly needed. Yeah. In order for, you know, the marketplaces like Magic Eden to display and for, I guess, the ecosystem, for new ecosystem onboarders to be confident, like, you know, I'm buying this bitmap. I know what the true own, what I actually own as far as like which of these parcels have already been distributed.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Or which, you know, how many of these digital commodities that exist within this bitmap or whatever
have been already extracted.
Claimed. As of right now, the infrastructure doesn't allow like Magic Eden to even have any insight or knowledge of this, right?
Yeah, and a lot of this cannot be relied on indexers to keep track of all this information, right? It can exist on chain, right? Yeah. Magic Eden, any marketplace, they can see on-chain activity and they can say, hey, all these like digital commodities have been inscribed, right? Correct. So you are aware as a buyer in that market. It's like, I'm looking at that bitmap, I'm looking at that parcel, all these tokens have been extracted. Therefore, I shouldn't pay this high of a price, right? Somebody is trying to screw me here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move on to a different bitmap or parcel.
Damn. Yeah, this is definitely going to be very heavily utilized. So this is, now I'm starting to see why parent-child was such a big deal and why like Danny and his team and Casey, everybody who's been talking about it, Trevor, Leonidas, this is going to be introduce a lot of new vectors of, I guess, potential future utility, right?
Yeah. So why was there sort of like a notification on the document that this isn't 100% fully supported?
Yeah.
Well, as you can see, it is supported. Like I said, it is, right? What is not supported is doing multiple of these in one transaction.
Okay.
Right. So if you create a token for Bitmap and I create a token for Bitmap, I can't inscribe them all in one shot. Right. That is not supported, because if I do that, they're going to be cursed. Now, I think there's a chance that on the ORD 1.0 update that happens in a couple of weeks in December, all cursed inscriptions become non-cursed.
Okay.
So theoretically, that means you can do that right now.
You're just taking the risk?
You're taking a risk, right? It's a small one, maybe.
Yeah.
But there is a risk.
Okay. So you wouldn't recommend what activity? Like, how can I populate multiple child inscriptions? Like the interface doesn't even exist for that, does it?
It doesn't exist for that yet. I mean, you can do it if you're a good programmer, right? As on-chain monkeys have done.
Yes.
They did a 10K project. All of them are cursed. But I think in 3 or 4 transactions, they got 10K cursed inscriptions.
That's how you saw that crazy like butterfly diagram, the mempool like outputs or whatever, inputs, outputs. Yeah, so it is achievable, but again, because it's not fully supported, that's why
and think about that. So on-chain monkeys, they had a parent representation of their project. They created 10K images off of that parent project.
And they're probably going to create more like 10K or however many K children inscription under that parent is literally just like, it's the brand, right?
Yeah, it's the brand.
It's for everyone to know whenever you're looking at these assets in the open market.
There's on-chain provenance.
With certainty. Yeah. It's like this is not a copycat. This is not a forgery. I don't have to rely on like Magic Eden indexer to tell me whether or not this is authentic. Like I could look at it for myself.
Yeah, that's right.
By following that chain of existence all the way up to that parent.
Right.
That's the value of all this.
Yeah.
It's the key. It's adding what? Like security, authenticity.
Yeah. On-chain tracking.
Yeah.
But where I was going with the on-chain comparison with the bitmap is, well, your bitmap becomes the parent, and the community is going to come up with tokens that can be inscribed from your bitmap. Those are all children from your bitmap. You can do those. You can do all the token inscriptions all in one shot now, right? Because you're essentially creating a collection of tokens that the community has generated. And so the community will generate tokens, and they'll have their own projects, games, tickets, whatever it is that they're creating to represent their tokens.
Yeah.
But you'll gain access to those tokens because you're a bitmap holder, right? It's up to you to decide whether or not it's worth inscribing it.
Yeah.
And so this is another representation of the market deciding. You create a token, nobody cares about it. It's for bitmap, but nobody cares. Nobody's going to inscribe it, right? If you create a token where people do care, they're going to inscribe it.
Correct.
Yeah. Right? And only the bitmap holders could inscribe it. There's no other way to do it.
I mean, that's the case for any really token or digital asset, right? Anybody can come forth and leverage these open source tools to create like a new digital asset, but from the rip, nobody really is going to care unless you create some sort of product or application or utility around this token where now there's a reason to care, right? So this isn't something new or native to like this bitmap commodity space where people are going to have to find out ways to derive utility from these assets, right?
Correct. Yeah, so I'm going to show you real quick how I did this. I need to copy the JSON structure right here. So there's a copy button. I'm going to go to this website. I don't know how I found it, but I found it because I was looking for parent-child interfaces. So you click on inscribe, you click on text, you click on JSON, you paste the JSON structure, right? The JSON structure does not have a block number because this is a child inscription from your bitmap. The bitmap already has a block number.
So how does this thing know which bitmap I have?
So here's the next part. Parent-child. Optionally, this is an optional in this interface. Specify a parent inscription for the ordinals to be inscribed. So now you have to go to your parent, and my parent is 745673. It has an ordinal ID, which is this thing. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to chisel, and then I'm going to paste that ordinal ID here.
So in this case, this is not optional, right? This has to be included.
Well, yeah.
If you're trying to mint a BMT, your BMT token.
And so specifically, this interface is just a representation of what is happening when you're doing this. Now, mscribe, bitmap.land, anybody who supports this, they're going to make this significantly easier, right? You go to your bitmap and say, look, here are all the tokens that are associated with your bitmap. You can select whichever ones you want. You can select all, you can select some, you can select, and then you inscribe. It's like your Unisat wallet pops up, you sign, and then all of a sudden you have all these tokens.
So that's coming. That's on the horizon.
Right, yeah. So, and then you put in a destination here in Chisel. You click urgent because, of course, you want this fast.
Of course.
And then you just pay, right?
Yeah.
And then part of, so this is a two-step transaction. You pay for the fees, right, associated with this. And then the second is you have to send the bitmap as part of the transaction. So it'll tell you where to send it to. But ultimately, if you wait long enough, the bitmap comes back with the tokens, and now you own everything with this on-chain provenance. So this is a ordinal protocol aspect that it's a two-transaction thing.
I see.
So, and that's it, right? I've just inscribed the BMT.
Very nice. So this can be done to any bitmap that exists. And again, there isn't that much discrepancy between the supply of bits or being in the bits is the non-arbitrary data root.
That's right.
That the 11 dot or the DNT.11 element is kind of referencing, right?
Right.
The existence of that pattern, and that this deploy inscription is pointing to.
Right.
So yeah, the discrepancy between blocks is not that big. There's a little bit, like some of the earlier blocks have a higher quantity of bits in them, therefore more BMT tokens. So it's definitely worthy to like look at. Just, all the bitmaps I own. Let me go to blockchain.com.
That's right.
Let's like look through them one by one, see how many potential BMT tokens that I can basically aggregate for myself using this method. Right. And then as far as like what ecosystem utility comes from this, I mean it's a TBD type situation, just like any other token that's minted.
That's right. Yeah, I mean we've had 14 years of arbitrary tokens, right? Probably 95% of all those arbitrary tokens are basically meme tokens. Basically. Yeah. Right? The other 5% have utility. The same thing is going to happen with non-arbitrary tokens. Right? Yeah. People are going to use this DMT framework to create utility out of it, and other people are going to use the same framework to create meme tokens out of it. Yeah.
Well, and ultimately, again, it's a demonstration and a showcase, and at the end of the day, we want more like deployers to come in and leverage this provenance method of NAT deployment, right? So that we can create the beginnings of what potentially could lead to this digital commodities era, specifically to Bitmap, right? Which is a big deal, right? Because we've talked about it in the past. This to us is very foundational. This is how you get like the beginnings of an economy going, right?
100%.
Like, how are you going to build? Now you can do things like, enrolled crafting that rely on these types of digital commodities and such as like parameters, right? Yeah. If you want to create this, I don't know, we're already starting to see functional application like pieces of content like in recursive IO's Explorer environment. You can actually theoretically build some sort of, I don't know, some way to make your own BRC 420s. Yeah. But it needs a specific, commodity, maybe a specific BRC 20, a specific, whatever the fuck.
See, that's a crazy utility for
obviously that's tokens. A lot of code, it's a lot of programming, but it's theoretically possible already based on 100%. What's being built out there. So this is just another component to make that even happen, right? Yeah. And again, all these things already natively exist in the Bitmap ecosystem.
That's right.
You just need to pull them out and put them to use.
See, that's what's so great. That's what the vision that we saw with Bitmap is that the ability to see these patterns and make those patterns into tokens and then use those tokens for some utility like you were talking about. Like that's the value in like this potential digital commodity layer that's sitting already inside your Bitmap. Correct. Right? You're just inscribing them and then using them as tokens for that ecosystem.
Yeah, pretty much. And we're going to do our best to kind of like showcase this as much as we can. We have ambitions to bring like game projects into Bitmap and such, and actual like ecosystems and economies within the broader economy of Bitmap, right? Because that is what the metaverse is going to encompass at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. It's a conglomeration of many digital economies all together forming this cohesive digital society, right? Like that's like the main thesis to the metaverse.
Yeah.
And of course, according to like these big ass financial institutions, at the end of the day, that's going to be like a multi-trillion-dollar.
That's right.
Human activity at some point within the next 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And it's not all going to be on Roblox, I promise you that.
Yeah, definitely not.
Even though some people in the Web3 Twitter space are telling you it's all going to Roblox, I don't think so, dude.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think a lot of it's going to come right back
I
into
agree.
this Web3 open metaverse space, and Bitmap has a ton of potential to host it.
Yeah. All right, that's it for us. If you have any questions, let us know in the comment section below, and let us know if you decided to inscribe the BMT token. It's totally up to you. You're not forced. You can inscribe it 1,000 years from now if you want to.
Yeah.
Right? It'll still be there.
As long as you still hold that Bitmap.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.